Steve, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. I know how busy your schedule is with the new album coming out. But just speaking very briefly about the success of All American Boy, the single that really put you on the map for most people, why do you think it was as successful as it was?
A big mistake that a lot of artists make in all kinds of art is to do things non-committal, like, oh, I'll take a little bit of this, or oh, I'm gonna wear this because it will make me seem edgy, but then I'm gonna not go too far in that direction. And it's all of this like scared to commit, and I feel like a lot of that fear of committing to something and really making a strong statement is because people are afraid of who they might alienate or afraid of what critics might say. And I think that's one of the reasons why All American Boy hit such a strong nerve, because it was so committed to what it was. And I always try to remember that in everything that I do, and to be all or nothing about what I do. And I tried to do that in this album, and everything else that I do.
It was the name of your first big single, and now it is the name of your debut album. What is the significance of being an All-American Boy?
Well, I named this album All American Boy because going way back for me, my dad would always pat me and my brother on the back when we were like little kids, and he'd say, "These are my boys, they're the All American Boys, and they build tree houses, and they play sports, and they get good grades, and they're Boy Scouts, and they're just your All American Boys." And so it was always a sense of pride for him, calling us his All American Boys. And when I was 13 and I realized that I was gay, it occurred to me that I didn't necessarily fit into the idea of what it meant to be all American. And so that had kind of been on my mind in some part for all of those years leading up to the video. And so I really wanted to make a statement about that and say, look, just because I'm gay, I'm not restricted to whatever identity the world tells me I have to claim. I'm going to claim my own identity. And in fact, I'm going to reclaim this identity that has seemed to purposefully keep me out. So I named it All American Boy not because I'm like trying to appeal to all things American. Like I'm not necessarily your traditional All American in a lot of ways, and not just because I'm gay. In fact, I think being gay makes me more All American. It's about, I just want to say, look, I'm taking this identity, I'm claiming it, and I want my fans to be able to do that for themselves. It's about claiming your identity, claiming your space, and not letting the world tell you what you can and can't be.
It's been almost 2 years since you launched All American Boy on YouTube, and since then your career has had a lot of success. What has been some of the highlights that you have experienced thus far?
I feel like, going back to All American Boy, that was like the start of me really being able to connect with people through my art, and that's something I've always really wanted to be able to do, and I did it in a big way. And it came down to, and even though all the views were amazing and all the publicity was amazing, all stuff that just occurred totally naturally without me having a team or anybody pushing for it. It was stuff that was all given to me because of what I did. What was really most amazing was all the people that wrote in and that were affected by what I did and touched. When people write things and say that they feel like they're okay with being who they are, that they're okay with being gay because of something that I did or something that I created, like that makes me so proud, and that reaffirms that what I'm doing is valuable and worth it and meaningful.
Complete the sentence. To me, music is
escape. I mean, no matter what you're feeling, where you are, what your home situation is like, you could put on your headphones and just go into that world that artist has created for you for those 3.5 minutes. And that's what I did every single day when I was walking to school from 7th grade all the way through high school. That's how I started every day, and I would just, blast my favorite artists in my ears, and I would just go into their world, and it was so empowering, and it made me feel like one day I was going to have a voice, one day I was going to be able to do that, and one day I was going to be heard. And that's something that sustained me for a long time.
Please tell me a little bit about the process you go through when you write new songs. Are there any specific rituals or any other way that you get the creative juices flowing?
Yeah, just a couple shots of Jack. No, sometimes that works. No, I'm not trying to promote drinking. Um, it comes at all different times, and I'm just always ready. It's part of my job. Part of your job as an artist is to always be open to inspiration coming in. And so if I'm at the gym and I'm working out and I think of something, I'll stop what I'm doing and just kind of like take my phone and record a video message into it. So I go back later when I'm at the piano and I see what I came up with and I try to work something out. Sometimes I'll just be sitting at the piano and a whole song will just come rushing out. And those are usually, I love that when it happens. That's like striking gold, when it just all comes pouring out. And so there's been more than a few songs on this record where that's been the case. And I've written the song in like 15 minutes, and that's been awesome.
In many ways, the launch of this new album is a whole new chapter in your career. What else can we look forward to from Steve Grand in 2015?
I just want to play and play and play and be with my band. And that will make me really happy. And I just can't help but feeling so excited, an excitement I haven't felt for a long time, thinking about this summer and just playing all the festivals and not worried about getting back to record a vocal track or do this or that. I'm sure there's always going to be things, but it's all worth it for me. I mean, I don't have anything. I mean, I have, the equipment I use to make my music, and, like I don't have like a house or like great clothes, but I just love that I could make music and make people happy with it and travel around the country and play it for people and make those connections that only come through bearing your soul through art.
I'm sure all the tracks on the new album have a special place in your heart. Are any of them a little bit more special than others?
Of course they all are. I think that Back to California, which I actually released a year ago, been almost exactly a year, that song is very, very special to me because I think it's one of those songs that it's not so easy to write. I mean, it's about something that's a little different. It's about a very intense adolescent friendship. And so sometimes those things are harder to write about. It's not necessarily like, oh, I got my heart broken, or, oh, I love this boy and he won't love me back. There's a lot of complexity to that kind of relationship, that intense adolescent relationship. And I feel like I captured that beautifully, especially personally for me. And I don't expect it to be a song that would ever be on the radio or that millions of people would have be their favorite song on that album. But for me, I feel like it's a great achievement as a songwriter and as a storyteller. Also, it's very close to me personally.
You self-funded the album through a massively successful Kickstarter campaign, which raised more than 4 times what the goal was. Tell me about what that was like.
Well, I'll first start out by saying that I'm so grateful to all the people, and so all the people that watching that contributed, all 4,905 of you, thank you so much. You are the sole reason this record happened, and I've never for a second taken that for granted. So for Kickstarter, people could find any artist that they like and choose to give them money to make a record. You don't have to go through a label. You don't have to, win over any bigwigs. You just have to get, it's very, very grassroots. So I don't think there's any other way that I would have rather have raised money for this record than through Kickstarter, than through that grassroots support. It's very affirming, and it's something that I looked to in the darker times and in times where I was really struggling to make this record and wondering if I really could. I always looked back at that and said, well, I have a lot of people that not only just say they believe in me, but they took out their credit card and said with making very generous contributions. So the Kickstarter thing, that is just amazing. And that's something I'll always look at and remind myself whenever I'm feeling like, oh, I haven't done anything good, or, obviously there's people that have liked what I've done so far and want me to keep going. So that's very affirming.
Steve, thank you so much for your time. It's been great speaking to you. The next single from the album is Whiskey Crime, and that is being launched on the 10th of March. And Steve's full debut album, All American Boy, is hitting the shelves on the 24th of March.